1, 2, banana, we are live.
Yay, banana.
Oh, for some reason I thought we were already...
No. I was waiting for Daniel to finish his story. And
my brain is scrambled eggs right now, just FYI.
oh, that's great. I had eggs the other day.
No.
There's worse eggs to have.
It's true. Scrambled eggs are my favorite eggs, but
So tell
if
me
I like eggs.
more about this.
Speaking of eggs, there's an egg on my head.
There is. I put it there because when I put it on Daniel's head, it was out of frame. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because it's my inability to sit still that probably doesn't help.
Right. Daniel, so today, everyone, if you're listening, today's podcast is all about poutine.
It's my time to shine.
Daniel's like, is it my birthday? Poutine. No, so I hope everyone can hear me properly. Everyone else sounds good. Of course they do. No one gonna say hi?
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
Do
I have to
No,
introduce
I didn't
everyone?
try that.
Okay.
I am Geek Apprentice. Hi.
Usually, Jessie, you provide us with more structure and guidance.
I do, but there's been like, I don't know if you guys know this, but Daniel cut off all internet access to his basement.
Right.
So I've just kind of been stuck there. Yeah, so hello everyone, I am Jessie, or 𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗄𝗯𝗃𝐿. Here with me is Daniel, or 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗃.
That's me.
And Geek, or the Geek Apprentice. Today we're going to be talking about some Nintendo Switch Online stuff, some Pokemon stuff, and some of you have requested Jessie the Lungfish. Thank you, Natsu. We will be talking about the Breath of the Wild 2 rumors that some people have requested, and finishing up with reading through all of your comments. I do not know if I have a trivia thing planned, but either way, we'll save that for next week. Sorry, everyone. Yeah. Geek, before we get started, you had a really interesting video on your channel just posted yesterday where you literally talked about almost every single Zelda game.
Oh, 3D ones. It's mostly, like we were discussing a minute ago before we went live, it's a major nostalgia trip. That's what it turned into basically me going, wow, Ocarina of Time, that was so good. Majora's Mask, wasn't that one wonderful? Oh, look at this trailer for Twilight Princess, it's amazing. Look at Skyward Sword, what great music. You know, just all the reasons to love all of them, because I can't pick a number one.
It was so
it's
good.
30 minutes long.
You articulated it and made a good case for each and every one of them. It was really well done. It was a really great video. Superb work.
It only took me like 3 weeks to get out.
I relate to that very much.
And Daniel,
so much time.
I heard from some monkeys that you have a video about a spider or something?
Spooter?
Or a spider-infested
Well, there's a spider involved. A spider named Goma. But
it's a little different.
It's a little different. It's one specific spider. I guess no, when it lays does the little baby Gomas, and they're nasty too. So I guess it is a lot of spiders. I hate it. Anyway, it's actually Temple of Time video. It's the dungeon video.
Yeah.
But that's the dungeon boss. No, it'll be a good time. It's not anywhere near done yet. I'm about a third of the way through editing it currently, but it.
It's better than 0 thirds.
0 thirds. You're right. Yeah, that would be worse.
I don't know why I snorted when I. I'm so tired.
Fractions usually make me sneeze, so.
Allergic to math. It's So I'm a dancer. I only have
Also-
to count 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm. And even that, once
there you
you
go.
skip like 1 through 4, I just get confused. I start counting shapes and colors. Anyways, do you want to get started? There's a new Zelda coming to Switch, and they did some improvements to an old Zelda on Switch. And I have a theory. So, I'm sure everyone knows Majora's Mask, Switch Online, and everyone had a problem with Ocarina of Time and some of the other stuff with Switch Online. Here's my theory. Majora's Mask, harder to run than Ocarina of Time. People complained about some of the rendering techniques used in Ocarina of Time. The water temple, the fog, all that stuff. So, with Majora's Mask being technically more challenging to run, maybe not emulate, I don't know. But anyways, it required the expansion pack, whereas Ocarina of Time did not. And whether it would have ran worse, I was going to say poorer, but that is definitely not a word. So whether it ran worse than Ocarina of Time or not, they probably didn't want to have to deal with those, a bit of the embarrassment, I guess, of having everyone online once again complain about another one of your games, because people would see that and be like, okay, well, maybe I don't want this service. So by getting it good enough for Majora's Mask, maybe since it's the same engine and everything, and it possibly could be running Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in similar ways, by just getting Majora's Mask improved enough to where they feel people wouldn't complain about it, is also the exact type of improvements people were asking for with Ocarina of Time. So it was a way for them to like get a 2-in-1 type of thing, to where by getting Majora's Mask running to the quality they were happy with, it automatically made Ocarina of Time, and they just applied the same settings or changes or whatever. And it may not have been that they were actually working separately trying to get Ocarina of Time to work better, but it was just a natural thing that happened while working on Majora's Mask to work better. But that is just my theory, because I'm a pessimist tonight. So Daniel, what do you think about all this?
I mean, it could be the vice versa, where they were using Ocarina of Time as a guinea pig to see what worked and what didn't before even going near putting Majora's Mask out, right?
That sounds like a much more positive answer. Could be.
Maybe using one of the greatest games of all time as a guinea pig. But it's funny because they put some work into it to improve the emulation, right? So like the water in the water temple is fixed now, which is good. It doesn't look like weird solid stone slate texture
Jello.
instead of like water and fog, because I don't know why it didn't. I'm not very tech savvy. I'm sure there are other people that could explain it better, but it looked really bad, and now it looks better, but it's still not perfect. Like for me, the actual N64 is still the best way to play it, because the fog is the big thing, and the fog was like it was like a hardware limitation for the N64, but they turned that limitation into an asset to use to greatly contribute to that game's atmosphere, right? And that fog's totally missing, and you can see a lot of things that are like really in the distance would be kind of obscured by fog, so you'd see like the silhouette of it, and without that fog you can see all the rough edges of things, you know what I mean? So we'll know if Majora's Mask's condition is better right in that opening cutscene when Link is in the Lost Woods, because that uses a lot of that fog effect just in that scene, right? So and it needs to, because it's masking a bunch of 2D trees in the background of that cutscene. so if that fog isn't there, it's gonna look horrendous. It's gonna look so bad. But on the flip side of things, apparently, I actually haven't played it on Switch Online yet, but I've heard apparently Banjo-Kazooie, which is now on Switch Online, runs better on Switch than the Xbox 360 arcade version, which notoriously had an issue with the music getting desynced, like the sound getting desynced, and this version doesn't. And it's funny because this seems to be just straight an emulation of the game, whereas for Xbox, they actually went and like changed things and added widescreen support and updated stuff, but it had that issue still. And so I don't know, it's just kind of funny to me, but it's great that is, I mean, it's one of the best 3D platformers ever made. So it's just awesome that it's available to play now, but it's kind of ironic to me that it's running better on Switch, I guess. Especially considering Ocarina of Time had those issues. And part of me wonders if Microsoft was like, hey, if you're going to use our game, then you better have it working.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that opening cutscene in Banjo has the Nintendo logo back, because they took it out, obviously, for Microsoft. It just feels right, though. You know, it really
does.
It does. It's like Homecoming. It's awesome. Yeah. So, bit of mixed N64 news there. Mixed news. Sorry, Jessie.
No, it was a dog that barked. Geek.
Not many thoughts on the whole thing. I have to say, sidetracking with Banjo-Kazooie, my mom was very happy to be able to play that game again, because she couldn't play it unless it was the N64, so she was very happy. But then she stopped playing. She told me she died 3 times in Treasure Trove Cove, and I flat out said that was kind of pathetic, and she was like, I know, that's why I stopped.
Jeez.
This is the rapport I have with my mother, for anyone who's not aware of what was bangs are in Karaoke Village. Anyway, in terms of Zelda. Not much to say on the whole Ocarina of Time thing. Not anything else that hasn't been said. I will say, even though I personally prefer Ocarina of Time, they're gonna have to, for want of better phrasing, they're gonna have to be very careful with Majora's Mask, because I feel like there's more of a cult following with Majora's Mask than there is Ocarina of Time. Most people are like, yeah, Ocarina of Time's great, I love Ocarina of Time, but at least from what I can gather, when it comes to Majora's Mask, there's like a bigger, no, but this game, I love this game. Like, yeah, I don't even know how to describe it other than like almost a cult following, not in a bad way, but it's people are like, oh, everyone talks about Ocarina of Time, but everyone forgets Majora's Mask type thing. So I feel like there's going to be more backlash if they mess up things with Majora's Mask, especially because I mean, I could be wrong, just based on very foggy memory, no pun intended. There was more fog in Majora's Mask.
Yeah,
but
and
at least that opening cutscene.
Yeah. No, but you're totally right about the cult following thing, because it's like anyone who had N64 was like, oh yeah, Ocarina of Time is such a great game. We love that game, whatever. But yeah, Majora's Mask is a little more divisive, and so the people who love the game really love the game. So
same could probably be said for Banjo too, and that's why maybe they did part of why they did better with it, because they know how much those of us that played it back on the N64 were like, please get this right. We're so happy to have it, but please get it right.
Totally. And yeah, with Ocarina, it's like, you know, not to say that Ocarina of Time fans are like the casuals or whatever, because obviously I'm an Ocarina of Time fan, and but I think there's more overlap between the like hardcore Zelda fans and the casual audience on Ocarina of Time, whereas I think Majora's Mask's increased difficulty sort of made it a little bit more not exclusive, what's the word, like it made it a little bit more of a isolated experience for a lot of players. A lot less people got into it because of that. I'm not articulating this well. Geek said it better. Cult following.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
So it yeah, we'll see. We'll see right away. Once it shows up and that intro cutscene plays, we'll know right away.
Oh yes.
So.
All right. So
yes.
Daniel, you've been streaming a lot of Pokemon Legends. I dare not. Pokemon Legends on your.
I streamed it one time.
Well, it was a very long stream.
It was a long stream. It was like 4 hours. It was pretty long.
Wow.
So when I think for like the past few weeks, when I was like, hey, what do you guys want to talk about on the podcast? And Daniel never let me out of his basement so we could talk about it. We now have the chance. And one of the first things that you always said was you wanted to talk about this new Pokemon game. So while you give your initial thoughts, I posted a link in the Google document for Metacritic, and I thought we could go through and, like we have done for past Zelda games, and just see what some other people have said about it to get an overall thought, because I don't know about you guys, but I have yet to beat the game.
I haven't even owned the game yet.
No, okay. Well,
I want to.
We
it's
need to justify
it's good.
this. If anyone wants to donate $1 million, so I can give Geek 60 of that to buy a game.
Subtle, good.
Very subtle. I'll say though, on this very podcast, I've been openly critical and hesitant, maybe apprehensive about the game. But now that I've played it, I've sunk a good many hours into it over the weekend and the past week or so. It's good. It's really good. And the visuals kind of suck. Like, mostly the environment. I think the Pokemon themselves like look really good, and they updated like the battle animations and stuff. But there's so much good about the gameplay and the idea of like sneaking around the world and catching Pokemon, and the battles are changed, and the way so much more stuff happens in real time, and you have to be far more strategic about and careful. You have to be careful in this game. You know, that's like almost not something you'd think about in a Pokemon game. Like if you're walking around the world, you kind of have to be careful. And it's just like, it's my favorite Pokemon game. I can say that with confidence. It's totally my favorite Pokemon game. Like, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me in the chat, though I know Geek will agree with me here. I don't like random encounters. I think it's a dated mechanic. I think it's just annoying. You know, it just halts the gameplay. Yes. It pumps the brakes on everything you're doing, and I just don't like it. I don't care for the mechanic of it. The fact that they've done away with those random encounters, I think, is great, because you can see the Pokemon out in the world. You can be more selective about which Pokemon you're going to engage with or battle with or catch. You can even see if they're shiny without going into battle or anything.
Oh, praise the Lord!
Yeah, it's so great, and I've caught a good few shinies, and yeah, I think the gameplay is so well tuned. And a lot of people are like, it's the Breath of the Wild of Pokemon, and people are saying that jokingly about it because it's like this open world. But I think it is the Breath of the Wild of Pokemon, not because of the open world, because it's not really like, it's more like sandboxy, like Mario Odyssey, rather than true open world like Breath of the Wild. But it's the Breath of the Wild of Pokemon in the sense that they've just dropped all of these traditions, all of these formulas that they've clung to so much, in favor of bringing us something really fresh and engaging, and it's just masterfully done. And again, like, a lot of the visuals honestly are not that great, but when I'm playing the game, I don't care. It doesn't bother me when I'm playing, and I'm just having so much fun. And it totally, again, this totally caters to my style of gameplay, in that I have made so very little progress in the story because I've spent so many hours just exploring and doing side quests and stuff like that, much like I do in Breath of the Wild. And the fact that the game lets you do that without it just being tedious, repetitive grinding is wonderful. It's really great. yeah, I think the crafting mechanic is pretty neat because you don't have to like you have a crafting kit that's portable, right? That you take with you, so you can craft on the fly. And it's better than Animal Crossing's crafting because you can select to craft in bulk. Just putting that out there. Just putting that
I
out
agree
there.
with that. Come on, Animal
And
Crossing, I love you, but fix that.
right? But the loop of like gathering the resources to create Pokeballs and craft as many as you need and stuff, rather than in other Pokemon games where you have to go out to like a specific spot and buy them, is just really, I feel like, better integrated. And the fact that you have to use your Pokemon to gather a lot of these resources. Like, okay, to get like the stones you need to craft Pokeballs, you have to use your Pokemon to break a rock to get those stones. And it just makes the Pokemon themselves feel more integrated with the world. Because in previous Pokemon games, it feels like there's the Pokemon, like you're a kid out in the world. You'll have a random encounter, Pokemon will poof out of nowhere. And then your Pokemon comes out and you do a battle, and then Pokemon goes away. And that's it. And then you're another kid walking along a path again. And you could take, like, if someone knew nothing about Pokemon, you could take screenshots from the battle screen and show them that, and then show them the kid out in the world exploring, and you could tell them there's totally different games, and that kid would believe you because they don't know anything about Pokemon. But in Legends, everything is so much more tied together and integrated, and it's it's again not a looker of a game, but especially because I've been playing that, and then the other half of the time I've been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is actually a very good looking game. And then I've also pivoted to playing Breath of the Wild, which is also, even though it's 5 years old, visually more stunning, I think, than both of those games. So so it's not a looker, but that gameplay loop is so addictive and so engaging that those worries I had, those complaints about the graphics, are completely irrelevant to me. So like, better graphics would be nice, but I'm just not bothered by it enough compared to how much I'm enjoying the rest of the gameplay. So this was a rant. So sorry.
Well, you're also the only one who's played it, so
that's true. That's true. But it's I'm really loving it. I'm really loving the game. I think it's exactly what the series needed, because I know a lot of people were talking about Pokemon feeling like it's stagnating. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And this is exactly what Pokemon needed to stay relevant, I guess. Well, not Pokemon's probably always going to be relevant. Relevant's not the right word, but stay. It just feels like a modernization of it, I guess, is more accurate way to put it. Like Sword and Shield didn't even have proper camera control, you know, like
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how behind the times it felt like Pokemon was. But yes, I'm done talking. I think I've probably ranted enough about that. But I really did love the game. Really am, and still enjoying it. So yes, and the fact is too, like when I streamed it, Jessie, that, like you mentioned, that was a 4-hour stream. I made almost no progress in the story in that stream. I basically did the tutorial, and there's like the first boss. I didn't even make it to that. I didn't even make it to that first boss. I just spent the rest of the stream. I did like the tutorial, and then I was just going around, wandering around, catching Pokemon and stuff. So, yeah, great game, loving it. Jessie,
Yes.
one of you guys say something. Take us away.
Well, it's encouraging to hear all that, because I was apprehensive as well.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Once I have time, maybe I'll buy it. I really want to play it. I do. I just...
And now you've
like I mentioned before the stream,
Skyward Sword.
I'm doing choreography for a recital, so I'm like, maybe spring break. Spring break's next month. Maybe I should do it then.
What
Yeah.
I'll do it then.
I've seen the most is where people have seen or said that this game took influences from Breath of the Wild, whether it did or not. I think it just kind of naturally went the open world route. But with people on Twitter and Instagram and other places have been talking about with this Pokemon Legends taking ideas or whatever and incorporating them in different ways from Breath of the Wild, and they hope Breath of the Wild 2 looks at this and takes some of the better ideas as well, like kind of like a trading back and forth thing. And Daniel, you mentioned the crafting, and that was one of the big things that people mentioned because that was something that a lot of people were already hoping for in this. The thing I was really disappointed about, because it does feel a lot like Breath of the Wild, is you get to like a big cliff or something and you just try to climb it and you're like, oh yeah, wrong game.
Can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing too, is the climbing is not good in Pokemon Legends. So
Makes sense.
it's not good, but it's a different. I mean, it's a different game than Breath of the Wild, and I think they use that because the world is separated into like provinces, basically, and so there's very like specific ways to access those through like menu selection, basically, which is fine because those provinces are big enough that it's like whatever, that's no big deal. But they have to create natural boundaries for the world, and usually those are pretty big like slopes. And so if the climbing were better, you would be able to just go out of bounds super easily. So that would be a little bit world breaking.
So the real question here is, how are the trees?
They're fine.
They're fine. Me
Those
too. Me too,
trees.
Daniel.
Actually, something you mentioned about like using the Pokemon to do other things like breaking rocks so you can get crafting materials. I know for the longest time, all I've ever really wanted was like a Pokemon game that felt closer to the anime, where like it's more, which I know that's like would be a really difficult thing to do in a sense, but I'm like, I would love for Pokemon to continue going that direction, because I always liked the anime more than actually playing, because I'm not a stats person. But that's, I guess, well, I liked Sword and Shield. I felt like there were other things to do, so that just kind of registered as interesting to me, like, oh, I get to use my Pokemon for other things. It'll feel like an actual friendship.
Okay. I will say one thing. Playing Legends, it makes the introduction for Twilight Princess feel fun.
Okay. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because there's the goat herding in Twilight Princess, which I do not like. I detest.
What about the catching fish?
But the
Music's
tutorial, that's true. The music's good. The tutorial for Legends, for Pokemon Legends, is
a bit too
longer
much
than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah,
I think I played
and
it for
I feel like
oh, sorry.
oh no, I was just sorry. I feel like if they had taken more of a Breath of the Wild approach with that tutorial, the game would have benefited from it, because I feel like Breath of the Wild has the best tutorial ever. They give you like a small, sandbox to just like give you some basic objectives and mechanics and just let you play around with it and try things out for yourself. And I love that. And I wish Legends had done that a little more, but the tutorial is a little more scripted. And that's a bit tedious to get through, but once you get past that, it's worth it. So, but Jessie, please, what were you going to say?
I forgot. No,
I'm sorry.
No.
I actually have a question off of that, though.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
think the tedious tutorial for Legends, I mean, maybe not, could be based on the fact that Pokemon tends to be for quote-unquote 10-year-olds, even though I play games? I always wondered if that's why things never change, because they're like, well, it's a new set of 10-year-olds, and I'm like, but we're still playing.
That's the thing too. Yeah, it reminds me of this meme I saw where it was like, maybe I've told you guys this, but but there was this meme and it was like here's the game, and it was like Call of Duty, and it was like the intended audience, and it was like a young adult guy, college age dude or whatever. It's like, who's actually playing? And it was like a 10-year-old kid, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like the game, and it was Pokemon. It was like intended audience, and it's the 10-year-old kid, and then who's actually playing, and it's the the adult guy. And I was like, dang, that is really true.
It
That is so
really
true.
is. Oh.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things is like little kids want to be more grown up. They want to see more mature, and then we get to adulthood and we actually just want to cling to our child.
We're like, I want to chill. Hence, Animal Crossing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ooh, we got
Animal
a super
Crossing.
chat.
Oh yes.
Ooh.
From
Candy
Yeah,
gave
Candy.
$2, and she said, "Howdy, y'all."
Howdy.
Well,
Candy.
hello, Candy. I just had candy a minute ago. It was a little chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
I want
read.
chocolate.
Her thing's not popping up on screen. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Sorry. Let me move Geek out of the way.
Get out of the way, Key.
Rude.
So Jesse,
Get
you
to
played. You
know
said
my
like,
place.
oh.
So I bought.
Jesse,
Yes.
you said you played like 20 minutes of the game.
No. Well, technically yes.
Technically.
So I bought Legends for my little brother as his birthday was about a week ago. So I bought it for him.
Oh, happy
And-
birthday, Jared.
So I'll let him know that you said that. No, so I bought it for him, and then I was like, hey, what if you let me borrow this for like a week? So I watched
I see.
my cousin play through it for like an hour and a half. I played through it for about 20 minutes. Jared played it for about 30 minutes. So we've got like 2 to 3 hours in collectively. And the first, for us at least, it took at least an hour to get through the introduction. But I also watched a bunch of our friends online through Twitch and YouTube stream it, and I watched some of your stream as well. And
Right.
it looks really, really great, but I with almost every game, unless it's like Zelda, I fall in the trap to where it's like I could be working on a video about video games, or I could be playing a video game, and then I always default
Right.
to working on one. And then I just watch you guys and live curiously through you all.
See, I've a couple of times since transitioning into putting more of a focus on my YouTube stuff, I've fallen into that trap a couple of times with myself, and I basically had to give myself like set working hours like that I self-imposed on myself. And I was like, if it's after, with the exception of like, okay, evening streams or podcast, notwithstanding, aside from that, if it gets to like this hour of the day, time to stop working, you're off the clock now. That way you can have some work-life balance. Because I just of course, there's no. Actually, I was gonna. No, Jessie has kids too. Well, just one, but still, I just like. I think for myself, if I'm spending too much time every day doing that, I just start to get so drained.
Yeah, and then the thing that was supposed to be fun becomes a chore.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, so, but that's of course, different things work for everybody. So. That's what I ended up having to do for my own benefits. So.
Yes. Don't let life become
I do the same thing. Especially because I do have a day job that you have to dedicate time to. I'm like, you write it Saturday night or Sunday night, and if you don't write something, you don't write something. And if you write something, you are going to record it Thursday or Friday. If you don't record it, you don't record it. There's no other chance, and you're going to do the other things you need to do because... I love making videos, but it doesn't pay my rent.
I have a similar battle in my mind to where, like, I'll work all night on a video because I try to post my videos at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then if it gets past, like, 12, then I'm like, okay, well, it's too late to post it now. Because
I save it for the next day, or?
Yeah. So, like, I'm always, like, rushing as, like, the hours build up. And there will be times when I'll finish at, like, 7, and I'm like, okay, I have 3 hours left. And I'll be like, I just needed to, like, take 5 minutes, make a thumbnail. And then after I finish the thumbnail, it's, like, 3 hours later. And I'm like, oh, man, how did that...
Thumbnails are hard. That's the part. I struggle with thumbnails so I really do. Oh, man.
Here's a question.
See everyone else's, and I'm like, that looks great. Why doesn't mine look like that? What am I doing wrong?
High Fly
chat.
Ron in the chat says, "Do you guys miss a 9 to 5?" Daniel, I believe this one
No.
would be for you.
No, I worked in a bank, guys.
Oh.
it was soul crushing work. You know, I don't miss the 9 to 5. No.
Me either. I worked in a flower shop. People are high maintenance about their flowers.
I bet, actually, yeah. I'm
So messed
a lot
up.
of events and stuff, I'm guessing, then, or
It was usually old ladies yelling at
Old
me on the
mom.
phone.
oh
And
no.
I was like, ma'am, I'm doing my job. Well, why isn't the orchid this color purple? Because God didn't make it that way this time. I don't
There's
have
something
control over
you
that.
There's some things you can't control.
Yeah, I've
Like,
defaulted
do you want
to...
dyed flowers? Well, no, that's disgusting. It's unnatural.
When
yeah.
almost any time someone asks me a question and I don't immediately know the answer, I default to the answer of just, I don't make the rules.
I don't That's good.
The hard part is in my job now, I do make some of the rules.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Not all of them. I do have a overhead employer, but I run my own classroom.
like when
That's nice, though.
when people ask me like what we're going to talk about on the podcast, I'm like, I don't make the rules. You need to ask Daniel. And they're
Oh,
like,
no. That's why people message me.
probably. It's like he just keeps me locked in his dungeon. I just do what he said. So people in the chat are saying, okay, so here's the thing. I know what they're trying to get at. I haven't shaved in like 2 or 3 weeks. Daniel doesn't supply me with razors or anything for my shaving needs, so this just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's all my fault.
alternatively, maybe I just gave up on losing weight, and I was like, okay, I'll just have a beard to hide my double chin.
But maybe you look good, though.
Can't
Think
be.
about it.
Can't be.
Think about it. I feel that, though. That's like my haircut decisions are all based on laziness.
Yeah, mine too.
So, like,
Hence why it's not been cut in
there
3
we go.
years.
So I'll not bother cutting my hair because I'm to the barbershop, and then I'll get my hair cut short because I'm too lazy to maintain having long hair. So
Do you-
it's too much work.
You just
So-
taking a picture of Harry Potter and is like, I want this.
No. Not. I don't intentionally go for the Harry Potter look.
I've seen people in
Just
the chat.
happens.
There's been multiple people say I look like a vampire or a pirate. And I
A
say,
vampirate.
why not both?
Vampire.
So next
Your worst
up,
nightmare.
we're going to be talking about the greatest game of the decade.
Okay, but isn't that game? I haven't played it, but is it not actually good though?
No,
'Cause
it is. It
I've heard
is.
people say they really like that game. Yeah. Okay.
I don't
Um,
remember much, but I know my brothers really enjoyed it.
It has a very fantastically mediocre multiplayer. So,
That's true.
no, so the next thing on the list is I was going to read through a couple of reviews from good old Metacritic.
Good old Metacritic.
Yeah, I don't want to go with the ones that are like 100, so I'll read through a couple if you
There's
guys want to
definitely a
look
couple hundreds.
for yours. I'm going to pick some from... I was going to say friends that we have, but it doesn't really say who wrote it on here. It's just
Mm.
random people. So Game Informer, I have a couple of friends that work there. Pokemon Legends. Again, I am afraid to say this because whether I say it right or wrong, there's always people it's like, no, it's not said that way, it's said this way, and then I say it that way, and there's other people it's like, no, it's said this way.
Mm.
So, Pokemon Legends charts an exciting new direction for the series while still maintaining many of the core tenets that made Game Freak's franchise so beloved in the first place. Nintendo enthusiast. Oh, where did it go? Very short one. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Oh, I said it. Jeez. Sends the series in a new, bold direction while also setting groundwork for the future of games. And there's no negative. It has an 84 overall, 7 mixed reviews, 59 positive. And let's see.
So that's under critic reviews, right?
Yeah, that's why would I read
Oh yeah.
other reviews?
You know what though? Even the user review ones, which are they tend to be a little more wildly variable. This is what I'm going with. Even that, the ratio is really good. It's 1,563 positive, 128 mixed, and 299 negative. That's not that many. Well, I mean, 299 is a lot of people, but considering the amount of reviews, we're looking at like 1,900 reviews. That's not that much. That's a pretty small fraction.
So in the mixed reviews, one I have from IGN, Pokemon Legends is an ambitious revamp that successfully revolutionizes the defining Pokemon experiences of catching and battling, but is unfortunately set in a drab, empty, and at times tedious world. From IGN, they give it a 70, and I'm like, that's 1 point above failing. I'm gonna need to call some people and be like, explain why it gets a 70.
A note though is that I don't know if I agree with it being like a drab and empty.
Okay, what about tedious?
There's a lot of not even tedious too, because that gameplay loop is so fun of like catching Pokemon, gathering materials, and crafting, and catching Pokemon and battling. Like that's really fun. And also, if you're actually looking around and exploring, there's a lot to do in the world because there's Pokemon everywhere, and 2, there's materials and things to collect everywhere. And then occasionally there's like these I don't want to spoil it, so I'll say there's occasionally some events that happen in the world at random that are really fun to go and explore and do as well. So yeah, I don't agree with that. I feel like that argument's the same one people would make for Breath of the Wild, saying the world's too empty, and I just disagree because there's like so much stuff. There's Koroks, there's treasure chests, there's Bokos, there's enemies.
You can climb a wall and get a Korok for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's stuff to do everywhere. It's the same kind of thing, except yeah, that's a little different setting. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, Jessie. Please continue.
No, I was done. That was me done. I didn't know if you guys had found one that you wanted to talk about or not.
Well, I didn't find a specific one, but there were a few like yellow and reds that did like it mixed. That there was just like a running theme. Not all of them. And I've seen this on previous Pokemon reviews too, that I'm just like, maybe I'm misreading this, but I just find it a little ironic. It'll be something about like, at some point it'll say, oh, I keep having to catch Pokemon. It's getting tedious. And I'm like, do you know what game you're playing? I mean, I hate random encounters. That is tedious and annoying to me. But the actual concept of needing to catch Pokemon, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the anime, but it literally says, gotta catch them all, gotta catch them all. Like, that's kind of the point. So, sometimes there's other stuff around it, but just reading that line be repeated, I keep having to catch Pokemon, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, you do.
Actually.
That's like playing Pokemon Snap and being like, I hate photography.
Why do I have to keep taking pictures of Pokemon?
I keep having to take photos of Pokemon.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's totally it. Like that's the whole point. That's the whole point. And you know, like the catching mechanics, I really like them in that game because it's not just total RNG. Where you encounter a wild Pokemon and then you choose to catch it, and then it's RNG, like this percentage of a chance to catch it. Like there's still some of that involved. But there is a more skill-based, because you don't have to battle them if you sneak up on the Pokemon. You can just throw the ball without battling them. And if you like sneak up successfully and they don't see you coming, there's a better chance of catching them. Or even if you sneak up successfully and you hit them in the back with the Pokeball when you throw it, there's an even greater chance of catching them. So there's actually like strategy and skill involved in it, and it's not just transition to battle screen, choose to try and catch them, and then dice roll. There's more to it. There's more depth to it. It's good. That's all. I talk too much. It's a good thing this is a podcast where the whole point is talking.
That's
anyway,
the goal. Yes.
that's the goal. Just like catching Pokemon.
I
keep having to talk on this podcast.
I want
Someone
to.
being like, "What's with this podcast? They just keep talking."
No, those are real comments that we do get, and every time it makes me laugh. I'm like, that. Yes.
That's.
For the people who don't read the entire title, why aren't you talking about Zelda? It's like, well, if you notice, there were other things in the title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I literally am making that clarification in my next video, just in case anyone didn't read this.
There were a few people who was like, you could talk about Zelda for once, and I'm like, I think we talked. Like, find an episode where we haven't talked about. I don't. There was more than one, so I don't know.
I've seen some comments that are like, oh, yeah, saying we don't talk about Zelda enough, or like we never talk about it, and I'm like, this is why you would suck in an argument, because you should never use always, never. It's like, you're probably wrong if you're using that phrasing.
We talk about Zelda. That's like the main thing we talk about. that's like
it's
the number one
favorite thing.
That reminds me as well when this was like however many, I think a couple years back now actually, but I was streaming Earthbound, right? And I had put that in the title of the stream, and like you come into the stream and that's the game I'm playing, and you can like choose in the settings of the stream like to like select what game you're playing, that
Right.
all the work, right? And someone came in, they were like, why aren't you streaming Zelda? And I'm like, because other things exist.
Yes.
Why?
I didn't
if you
say
wanted to
I was
see
exclusively Zelda.
Yeah. If you wanted to see that, why did you come to a stream that says I'm streaming Earthbound?
Oh, Jorge in the chat. I can't stand it when I'm forced to battle other players in Smash.
Okay. So
that's true. I love it. I love that. That's good.
As a teacher, that actually makes me laugh too, because I'll have my students that are like, oh, why are we doing pliés? I'm like, because this is ballet. And you do pliés. Why are we stretching? Because it's jazz. And I don't want you to hurt yourself. I just want to be flexible. Well, that's what this is for. But it's more understandable when an 8-year-old says that to me.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Sometimes you have to wonder, like, how like, I know a lot of our audience, adults, a lot of it, but sometimes, the occasional youngster wanders in or whatever, and like sometimes I have to wonder, like, how many young people are watching. Like, like you never know, I guess. But,
except for analytics, I guess, but that doesn't tell you everything.
But analytics, I don't know how much I trust them, because one time I checked my analytics and it said 100% of my audience was male, and I'm like, that's not true. I have no women watching any of my videos. Are you sure?
I'm like, I feel like even just streams alone, I'm like, I know. Besides me, I know I have names. Yeah.
Yeah. There's people I'm on a first name basis with. That.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how much I trust these analytics.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it used to tell me mine was 100% men, and I'm like, that's a lot men, but it's not 100%.
Yeah. No way, right? It can't be. There's no way. Yeah.
So, what you guys were saying was funny. I did have little laughs about that.
Thank you.
But
I'm glad.
I clicked over to the next news story and was like, do we really want to talk about this? And I was just scrolling down. I didn't read any of it. And the first thing I read was 𝗏𝗏 dies.
What?
Okay, right. That was the rumor, right?
Yes.
Yes. One of my patrons sent me this one. Joseph, thank you for sending me that. And it's a doozy. And it's almost like, I read it and I was like, I'm like 90% sure this is, maybe more than 90% sure this is total fake BS, because it's like a 4chan rumor,
No, okay, so
but there's some funny things in it, like 𝗏𝗏 dies.
that Sonic thing.
So bold.
I think that Sonic thing that we did a couple weeks ago that talked about Sonic Frontiers before it came out, or was announced. I think that also came from 4chan. So 4chan, like,
Yeah.
once every 1,000 years, legend has it, there is something that is like slightly true if you like squint when you read it.
But you got to think about 4chan rumors like they're the Gerudo, you know? Like only like
Women.
think about how many male Gerudos are born, right? That's how many true things come, how many factual things come out of 4chan.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
I was gonna start saying random Gerudo things like it's all women. They're in the desert.
That's
love-
yes, 4chan is actually located in the
They love
desert.
ice cubes. There's a terrorizing giant camel chasing all of them.
Camels are
Yes.
scary. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they are.
I had
They are.
a
I'd
rather
serious
have a
discussion
standstill.
the other day
What kind
about
of animal has a built-in stool for other people?
Okay, so if some of you came earlier, whenever I first posted this, it had the same title as I posted last week,
Right.
and it stayed that way until about 5 minutes before, where it suddenly changed to Breath of the Wild 2 stuff as well, and that was because some people had messaged asking us to include it in, and that's why instead of starting off with it, it's at the end. And again, we don't know anything. We're all trapped in, I'm at least trapped in Daniel's basement. It looks like Geek is held up in a somewhat nicer room. But mine has padded walls to where I scream and still no one hears me.
It's so no one can hear.
No windows, nothing. But this, as Daniel was saying, 4chan. I don't know if Daniel and I have the same thing here. Half of this stuff, you could use common sense and tell that it's just like, it's as if it was written by someone purposefully trying to troll, not even using good ideas that were believable, but purposefully making it ridiculous. And if not, then it was just some 10-year-old is like, I want to be famous. And it's like, oh, but 4chan's anonymous. How will I ever know?
And there's a lot of stuff that's like it's really safe bet stuff. You know what I mean? Like they could just say a really general blanket statement,
Like Bolson
and then
dies.
they'd be like, "Whoa, I got that right! See, I knew all along."
Zelda's
Like, one
gonna
of the
play a
things-
bigger part in this one.
Yeah. So
Right.
what-
Like one of them was like, there's Ocarina of Time references. Like you could say that about almost every game, every Zelda
Yeah.
game that came out after Ocarina of Time, and you'd
Yeah.
be right.
except Twilight
Yeah.
Princess.
That game is loaded with Ocarina of Time references.
So what is
It's
your
not
list?
as
look
if
like,
Link
Daniel?
is the literal blood descendant of the hero of time or anything.
Yeah, and he doesn't make multiple appearances either in the game.
No, he doesn't.
Jorge, common sense has left the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Common sense ain't that common.
Yes, that is the
Sadly,
quote.
probably the least common sense.
Exactly.
It's like all the Zelda
gonna say
theories you see on
smell.
YouTube where it's like, did the Koroks evolve from the Kokiri? And it's like, the game literally tells you this.
It's not.
Why would you
It's
spend
not a theory.
why would you spend days making a video talking about that when it's like is the grass green? No, so what does your list of stuff look like? Is it the same as mine? Where it just has
I think it's the same one.
is it the Reddit thing?
Yeah, the Reddit thing. That's basically just a recap of
Yes.
the Reddit thread. Which, in fairness, I tend not to go on or 4chan. I don't want to read the 4chan threads because 4chan is it's a different kind of place.
They're the type
So-
of people that hires monkeys
That's
to
a
beat
safe
up Twin Rova.
Adjective.
Yeah. So I'll just like take the recap, like the cliff notes from
Yes.
Reddit, and and I'll be just fine.
Alright,
Yes.
so I'll read through about half of these, and then one of you can just take it from there. But I just a minute ago, when I almost died,
Mm-hmm.
I was not able to breathe because the first thing I read was Bolson dies, and I expected some ridiculous stuff, but I did not think that would be the first thing I saw. All right, so it says, I know this is probably my statement as well. I know this is 99% fake, but it was interesting, and I figured it should be documented just in case it turned out to be real later on. Posted by Greedy Juice. Okay. We've had enough BS things come true on here in the past that I know anything is possible. And it links to the 4chan thing. Reason for not having the Master Sword is that Link returned to the Korok Forest, which is now floating in the sky. Game difficulty is the same. No. Wait, didn't Rick have a thing?
I already...
we were talking to Rick one day about that.
Yes. He actually made a video on it, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where Korok Forest is not visible from, like you can't see the Deku Tree when he's normally very visible from Hyrule Field. But the thing about that, like them saying that they returned the Master Sword to Korok Forest, that kind of does go against the trailer, because he has it in the trailer,
Yeah, he
right?
has it.
Yeah, so I don't know. But unless, like, you know, there's probably context we're missing. I don't know. If this is true, which probably isn't. So yes, go on, Jesse.
Game difficulty is the same, not harder or easier.
Blanket statement.
I will say that is a lie, because the Bokoblins have bigger horns. They could poke you.
Yeah, but I feel like most Zelda games tend to like keep a pretty consistent level of difficulty.
Except Majora's Mask.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say a lot of things about Zelda games and then say except Majora's Mask, and it would
It's
True.
true.
because it's just so different of a game. Also, we got a super chat.
Oh.
Takers610 says, "Thank you for the super chat, Takers. Thank you for $2. Bolson becomes Dampé of Terrytown Graveyard."
Wow.
I love it. I love it.
More traditional dungeons, like one, would be more. So,
That's true.
as well as a replacement for shrines, which are even older ruins located all over the world.
Ooh. Again, it feels like blanket statements. Blanket statements. Like it's vague enough that it's like probably just gonna be true because it's so vague.
Like it's gonna have every Zelda game. Usually, the larger the world is, the more. I don't know about Skyward Sword though, but the larger the world has been, the more of shrine-like mini dungeons there has been. My mind goes to Twilight Princess, where they attempted to make it feel more full by hiding little caverns and dungeons and caves and stuff with puzzles and random areas. And that's basically what Breath of the Wild shrines are, except they're everywhere.
Right. We got another super chat actually
okay,
from
cool.
Candy.
Yay.
Thank you, Candy. $2 as well. She says we need underwater exploration in Breath of the Wild 2.
I take your
I think we can
underwater
all agree with
exploration
that.
and I raise you fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all aligned
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah, so next setup is like the first game, just a more dramatic intro. And I think this is the thing where it's like where the people just see the trailer and they're like, "Oh, this is dramatic."
Yeah.
And it's like,
Zelda has some dramatic scenes sometimes.
did you see the trailer,
True.
like the trailers for the first Zelda game when they're like running through the forest and Link's about to die and you're like, "What is going on? How could it be more
I
dramatic?"
literally talk about that all
Yes.
the time.
How could Breath of the Wild 2 be more dramatic? Literally, everyone you love dies.
You know, it's fine.
It's like, what's
Oh
the
my
worst, that they
goodness.
die again? No. Mostly the same enemies with some evolutions. This is the horn I was talking about, Daniel.
Right.
On the Bokoblins.
That's the thing is like they just
horn.
like saw something that was in the trailer.
The horn on the
But, like,
Bokoblins.
try
Daniel.
and sprinkle some truths.
Daniel.
Yeah, the
The
Bokoblins,
horn.
they're... Don't make me say it. The Bokoblins.
No. Music is still simple, but sounds out of Music is still simple, but sounds out of tune. I don't.
That's
Are
out
they
of
basing
tune?
that on the weird singing thing from the first trailer? The thing that people tried to analyze for the
Oh,
longest
yeah.
time of being backwards and
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably. There was a
They-
section in the second trailer that had like that sort of backward sounding.
towards
vocals,
the end,
too.
yeah.
Mhm.
Before
Yeah, so
they
it's probably-
showed the thingy. That was so descriptive. You're welcome.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant though.
That's sad.
Oh,
So,
this is a cool
and
one.
you're right.
Yeah.
I don't believe it, but it does sound like.
You don't.
You don't believe he knew what I was saying?
No. The next one. The next one.
The next. Okay.
Because some of the abilities that Link got, other characters did sort of get. Like, you could shoot arrows, and there were enemies that also had projectiles. You could fly up in the air, and there was also wizrobes and stuff that you could fight as well. But with this, it says there are new underground enemies that can play around with time mechanics. And when you're fighting different enemies, in Breath of the Wild, they attack at once. Like in Ocarina of Time, they had a thing where only one would attack, and they would kind of like dance around you, like the 𝗍𝗪𝗪 and the Dongo's Cavern. They
Alphos and
yeah.
things like that.
I think they
Mm-hmm.
do it in Skyward Sword as well, to where like only one attacks you. Breath of the Wild doesn't care. Like, an enemy will use another enemy to attack you. So
That's true. That's moblins.
Moblins will throw bokoblins at you.
yes, and they will attack each other. So with that, multiple enemies using a time travel mechanic would probably crash the game, because it's like this one's reversing times and this other enemy's reversing it. So is it going forward now? And then, as we've seen, Link can also reverse time. So then does that re-reverse it, or what? Like, I think that's
Unless it's like really specific enemies, and there's like never more than one in the same room for
Yeah.
whatever reason. That's the only thing I can
like a
think
Lionel. No, are there more than one
of.
Lionel?
Yeah. The thing, actually, you know what? The Lionel thing, because like most enemies in Breath of the Wild, you can kind of like nudge or bait into traveling to different places in the world, but not Lionels. Like if a Lionel strays too far from its like zone, it'll literally warp back. It'll teleport back to its spot.
Really?
Which is because
Because there's some areas where the Lionels are decently close.
So, but then because of that, you can't get two Lionels close to each other, because if they go too far, they'll just zip back, which is
Imagine having to beat a
really
couple
weird.
triple Lionels,
Mm-hmm.
all with perfect arrow aiming.
I think it's because they would attack each
They
other.
are so. Maybe they would attack each other. But
Maybe.
yeah.
They get really mad when you wear the Lionel mask and then they figure out it's you.
Yeah, they don't.
So
Wait
like,
a minute.
They
We don't have 4 legs.
I'm harder to beat than 𝗵𝗲 himself.
You're not wrong about that.
Okay, items still have the same durability, but there are some enemies that have a time travel. Is this not the same thing that he just said? Some enemies have a time travel,
slightly
time reversal mechanic that ends up with your weapons healing each time you. Maybe, in the sense that you can make an Octorok swallow a rusty sword and it spits out a new sword. But that's the extent. Like, maybe there is an enemy that you can destroy and it does do some weird time goobly gobbly stuff. Timey-wimey stuff.
Maybe. I don't know.
But then it's like, how do they get the time power? Like, did they swallow a time shift stone?
Maybe.
Okay.
Plot revolves around time manipulation and another dimension. Again, I think this is like he's seen the second trailer, just like after the first trailer, everyone's like, it's all going to be underground. And then everyone's seen the second trailer and they're like, it's all going to be in the sky.
Right.
And I think this is
that,
just
and that's
that.
the trend we see with like the fake
Yeah.
name leaks.
It's a
you know,
darkness,
Yes.
breath of darkness, breath of evil.
Yep.
Why are there crumbs always in my bed even after I don't eat in it and wash my sheets?
Was that one of the fake titles?
Yes.
What's the name?
That's not where I thought they'd take the Zelda series.
Well, he is always sleeping.
Interesting.
Um,
Must be related to Triforce Heroes.
Never heard of it. Plot revolves around time manipulation and another dimension.
Yeah, blanket statement.
It's probably just based on the fact that when in the second trailer, everyone thought, oh, it must take place in the past because Link doesn't look like Link. And I'm like, he looks just like him in a different outfit, you know, like how we had 1,000 outfits in the original.
And I mean, has a Zelda game ever really had another dimension? Like some sort of second world? I don't think that's ever happened, has it?
Never happens.
Not at all. Not even
No.
the ones with that in the title.
Nor has there been time travel, anything like that. So this.
No.
Do you want to take
No.
this next
No.
view, Daniel?
So it says the green arm is a motif for courage. The arm is the last power from a sage that gives you new mechanics.
Question. Why is there only one sage?
Yeah. What says a sage,
Yeah.
not the sage? Maybe there is more than one.
Then why don't they all give you powers?
Every sage has one arm. Every sage is one arm. And I don't know. I don't know. This feels still like the like they're just blanket statement basing it off of like what we saw in the trailers, right?
And the interviews and creating a champion in the interview sections or in the little side note stuff, they mention they originally wanted the sages. And then after they got the idea of the divine beasts, they made the champions, or they basically just renamed the sages to champions. And yeah.
Yeah. Zelda plays a role in character swap mechanic. She's in another dimension, and you have to switch characters for puzzles to influence the regular Hyrule world and vice versa. Lots of teamwork between Link and Zelda. This is one that I feel is a little far-fetched.
Because Zelda falls in the trailer, don't you know? Not that the first trailer
so
shows
she falls into
Link grabbing her
another
arm.
dimension.
Apparently.
Yeah, that one just feels like no arm pun not intended. It feels like a reach.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I feel like whoever wrote this watched like a lot of Zelda theory videos and stuff that went out like after the second trailer dropped, and they just like took all the highlights, like all the big buzzwords, and just like slapped it in here. Zelda has the Sheikah Slate, no real combat from what was played, mostly stealth and puzzle solving for Zelda. No gear inventory, just materials and quests. I really hope that's not that's not it.
Age of Calamity.
Right. I was thinking there was I got Spider-Man on the brain apparently. The Spider-Man PS4 game that came out a few years ago. Really great game, but there's a few sections where you like do these sort of stealth segments as Mary Jane, and I don't like them because it's just like you spend the whole game as Spider-Man and you're doing cool flips and acrobatics and swinging through the city and stuff, and then you've got to do this tedious, slow stealth segment and it just feels like slow and awkward and clunky, and it feels so like breaks the flow of the game, right? And so when I read this, it's just like Zelda doesn't do any combat, she just has puzzles and stealth. That's what I think of, and I'm like, please no. Don't. Zelda deserves better than that if she's a playable character. You know? Yeah. Link only uses the new powers from the sages, while Zelda uses slate features from Breath of the Wild 1. Again, this feels like someone used the buzzwords from all these Zelda theory videos. Lots of Ocarina of Time references. Again, that just like you could say that about any Zelda game. Every Zelda game, you could say that. Identity of the Sage should satisfy you.
Huh.
What does that mean?
And why is it in quotations?
That's a good question.
See, that's the type of thing.
It sounds
that's
like it's a quote, like someone somewhere said that they had
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird. I don't know.
Do you want to read a few, Geek?
Or
Join in on the fun?
surrealist tone. As in, it's
Very
dark?
vague.
Okay.
Very vague.
Yeah. Kill the past story about champions taking place as new sages, more traditional Link, Ganon, Zelda plot. Really?
That's
Yeah.
that feels like a contradiction. If you want to do a kill the past convention breaking Zelda game, which was the first game, and then you turn on and say, but it's gonna have a more traditional plot. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Is there a
And then it
traditional
says
Ganon?
6 total dungeons.
Yeah, earlier he said more dungeons, right? And then now he lists
More
the
dungeons.
specific numbers.
Well, actually, a total of 6. Is now the thing.
I guess it's more than the 4 divine beasts.
So here's, I think
Sure.
I can say after we get through. I'll save it for when we get through this.
Oh, okay. There's only a few left.
Yeah.
Takes place almost immediately after the first Breath of the Wild. Sounds pretty accurate. That's what most of us were thinking anyway. Says, never saw Ganon, but from what we saw, maybe they meant to say we saw, he can understand that the undead form of Ganon is invincible, and Link/Zelda have to work to restore Ganon's physical prime form to be able to injure him. So you need to heal him so you can kill him. Sounds like a really messed up form of torture. It's like the Princess Bride. Then why bother killing me so as to torture you?
Right. It
Based
just
on
sounds so convoluted.
Yeah.
You know?
based
like
on
it's
my Zelda
needlessly
knowledge,
complicated.
human Ganondorf has also never died.
Well, he dies in Wind Waker and
No, he
Twilight
turns into a
Princess.
statue.
But he
Therefore
also had a
killing him.
sword thrust into his literal skull.
Yes. But we've seen that in
Seems
Ocarina of
pretty
Time, and
definite
he
to
just
me.
went back to being a human.
It's just interesting.
All right. What's this
And then
next
we have
one?
Bolson dies. Bolson dies. Now a ghost. A ghost is who gives hints like Cass.
No, Cass has more stories to tell.
I just want more
The ghost
class.
thing
I don't
sounds like
need-
not Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Tooie. When
Yeah.
Bottles dies.
Oh,
Poor Bottles.
Bolson is the new Bottles.
Bottles
That
was
killed
supposed
me as a kid. I was like, they
No.
killed Bottles.
So
I was only like 5 or 6 years old or something, and I was like,
in the beta, Bottles was the second player.
what?
Yeah, but he was still a ghost. He was still dead.
Yeah, you would play as
They were
dead
gonna have,
Bottles.
like, an
That's why he
optional-
died. So his ghost could follow around.
Oh yeah. Well, it's still. And the last thing,
Maybe
When
Bolson is
asked-
the second player.
not Zelda.
There's your multiplayer. It's not Zelda. It's Bolson's
You're gonna build
ghost.
houses, and you're
Okay.
gonna, and it's Animal
What
Crossing.
what ability? What champion ability is Bolson gonna give you?
Building homes.
Being fabulous.
You can wear a bandana like
the
no
only
other.
ability that matters. Yeah, with the
Right?
confetti.
Yes, that's my favorite part of that wedding scene is just Bolson in the background. And just,
All
I love it.
right, last one.
Yeah, the last one. When asked to list 3 things that weren't in the trailers, they're saying, okay. Anyway,
Okay.
that weren't in the trailers, he replies, there's Lanmola, that are like the size of 2 horses that burrow between sky islands, double sword weapons, and a power that both slows time and speeds up Link. Okay.
Alright. Lanmola is a classic Zelda boss. They're kind of like those like worm creatures.
The things that look like the one in A Link Between Worlds looked like a hamburger to me.
That is very, very
isn't
accurate.
That Moldworm?
Oh no, you're right. Just kidding.
There's both, but the burger was Moldworm. I knew exactly. It does look like a burger.
It does. It's got like the sesame seeds and the lettuce.
It does. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh,
I know what you're talking about. That makes more sense.
Zelda's
the
Adventure
other worm
and Cadence of Hyrule.
Ray says Bolson's ability will be his dance moves.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And his go-getter attitude. That's one of his abilities.
Okay, so I think that's so what I was gonna say is, if I remember correctly, this came from someone who supposedly tested the game.
Supposedly.
And if he did, he wouldn't be playing through most of the game like he said. He would more likely be playing through the same small, teeny tiny section over and 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 over. Like, do you remember we're going to have that person who, when I was looking at all that Twilight Princess beta stuff, and I mentioned talking to the one guy who played through one of the beta, or he tested one of the beta versions of Twilight Princess before it came out. And he said he just played, like they had him just play through the intro over again and again and again and again and again. And then he'd fill out like the same survey every time. Yeah.
That's the thing, is that like playtesting, they don't just like give you an early copy of the game and they're like, have fun. That's not how it works. That's not it. So
okay, question time? Was there something else you guys wanted to talk about? NFTs. Let's talk about NFTs.
Oh, yes. I very briefly wanted to touch on this. I don't want to get into the NFT argument or anything, because
we're turning Daniel into an NFT
on my stream yesterday. Oh, yes. I'm minted. No. But Nintendo had like their investors meeting recently. And one of the questions that Furukawa was asked was about metaverse and NFTs, and without getting into the pros or cons or whatever argument you want to make, exactly. They were asked about what they think, and basically what Furukawa said, because first of all, you don't want to just like shoot down one of your investors asking you a question about making money, right? You don't want to be like, no. But they gave the most Nintendo response ever, which is basically they said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that they acknowledge and they see that there's an opportunity there, but they will not implement it unless it's fun. Which is the most Nintendo response I can think of.
It really is.
It totally is. Something about it needing to bring joy to people, blah, 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 and then they kind of move on after that. And a lot of people really just took that like first part of the sentence where he says, we see that there's an opportunity there, and just took that and out of context and ran with it. And there's so many posts of people posting stars being like, Nintendo's going to be doing NFTs now. Did you know that? And it's like, that's not what he said. You're just taking a fraction of the statement out of context and misconstruing it. So that's the whole story. That's that. I just wanted to touch on that very, very briefly, because just the misinformation is not a good thing for any.
You have to post the whole quote, man.
Also, it's not very.
You don't take it out of context.
It's not very reliable to rely on what Nintendo says during interviews either. Because they're never ever going to make movies. They're never ever going to make mobile phone games. They said they're never ever going to release a second version of the 3DS. They're never ever going to release a smaller, slimmed down version of the Switch or one with a larger screen. And then a million other never-nevers that they said and then did do. So they could say absolutely not 100%, we will never do this, and then tomorrow they announce it.
Mm-hmm. But it's just like such a not, they're not saying either way statement already. You know, like it's such a wishy-washy statement, you know? And I feel like even if they were saying no, that like, again, it's like an investor asking about like, hey, you know, all these companies making money doing this thing. What do you think about this? He's not going to be just like no to this investor, basically. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there is that. Yeah, I feel like that's just like irresponsible of journalists to run with the quote incorrectly, because I've seen like a lot of, it's even like big sites posting it, and it's like, are you and the thing is, like, you could post a quote out of context for clickbait, and then in your article maybe you have the whole quote. The problem is how many people are actually clicking into the article and reading it, you know? So just there is that.
That's why I don't like NFTs. Hori says it's a non-fungible token. I don't like fungi in general, so
I'm allergic to mushrooms.
Like
how do you play Mario?
Well, Mario, I just play as small Mario the whole time.
All right, let's start off with some questions.
Yeah, let's. That was a nice short and sweet topic. Short and not sweet. Short and sour.
To make up for the short topic, with Majora's Mask coming out on the Switch, what kind of changes would you like to see them make to a 3D Majora's Mask? That's a joke. Just don't answer that.
just improve the frame rate and
just make it better.
just make a better game. No.
I want more eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, there are things they could improve, like Elegy of Emptiness and inventory management could be better, you know. But you know, that's about it, really. Yeah.
I'm laughing at Matt's comment.
Toss a toad to your dinner.
Toss a toad. Okay. So,
Sorry, now I'm reading another comment. I just got some weird imagery in my head.
In Chiatsu, this is posted. Now that I'm looking at Zelda theories. Jeez.
Oh no, they took it back. It was funny.
Let me get the mailbag. Okay, Dragon Chi, Patreon supporter, best friend of Miyamoto, says,
"Oh, great."
Question for the mailbag. What do you think of the idea of a new rune that gives you the control over plant life? For example, it could let you grow vines up a cliff, making it easier to climb and be weather rain proof. Or perhaps grow a plant bridge. This would be especially great if we no longer have Rivali's Scale. Rune of the Wild.
Interesting.
That could be really cool. That could be. I feel like just knowing Nintendo and how they go about purposefully implementing mechanics, you know, it almost wouldn't matter what they did with it. It would to do, just because they are that talented at making really weird things. Like in Breath of the Wild, they literally are like, here's a magnet, you know, and it's so fun. And so I feel like, it would be. I think there's potential in it for sure. And even if it's just kind of a little more vague, like about what you could do with it or what you couldn't. Actually, you know, it's almost like, I guess it would almost be like Cryonis, except plant rune and maybe a little more versatile, right?
Yeah.
Earthbender.
Like the magnesis. After you said that, I thought of magnesis was almost like a hook shot. It's like, if we can't give you the hook shot to make things come to you, we'll give you this to make things come to you.
Right. I mean, well, yeah.
But I'm an idiot, so just ignore me.
Oh, but yeah, they really just like give you whatever item, and it's fun. Like they're in Skyward Sword, they're like, yeah, you got a fan in the shape of a jar. And that's fun. They made it fun.
I felt like cleaning all those little dust piles away. I was like, oh, this is nice. I should clean my own room, but this is better.
They made not one, not two, but 3 games about Luigi vacuum, and it's so fun. So
it's true though.
They know how to just make those core mechanics really fun and satisfying to do. So
we don't need to make Mario anymore. Y'all do it.
You do it now.
Daniel, do you want to pick a question from the Discord? I think there's other Patreon people in there as well.
Oh, of course.
In the mailbag on Discord.
In the mailbag. Okay, this one's an interesting one. This is from Justin Clark. Asked, question for the mailbag, do you think Link from Skyward Sword was the original Link that caused a time loop like Song of Storms? Or do you think Hylia had her own Link? If I'm understanding the question properly, there's implications in Hyrule Historia that there was one chosen hero before Skyward Sword.
But no, the game tells you, doesn't it? At the beginning, when it's like Hylia had like her army, like her trusted hero that she made the sword for, and then there's the...
Is that actually in the game?
Isn't it like it's in the not tapestry, like the cave art stuff at the beginning when it's telling you everything?
I don't remember.
It's not in that cutscene at all. I think it's just in the book. I think it's just Hyrule Historia that mentions it. And so I don't think it's actually mentioned in game anywhere that there was a previous hero.
No, they just call Link the chosen hero.
Yeah. Frequently.
Yeah.
Refer to him as being the chosen hero, chosen by the gods. Like, Envy says it is in the game. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I have the cutscene somewhere on my... Oh, you know where I have it. In my footage archive. My Cap Ferguson's footage archive.
Okay,
very useful thing.
Do your research, Geek. Do you want to take a question?
Sure. I'm going to take this question because it was the one that gave me weird imagery. In the chat, Candy asks, she says, this question is for each of you. What do you think has happened to Link's arms, and do you think it has special abilities and powers such as using the hookshot bombs and weapons? For some reason, when I read that, I just pictured Link with a glowing arm and it just extending as a hookshot itself. And it just kind of looked disturbing in my head, like that game Arms. I just kept thinking of that, and I'm just picturing Link, like Elastigirl.
Well, he did have a mask that exploded, so...
Well, I do wonder what's happening to his arm. I go back and forth between, maybe he has abilities. I feel like it depends on whether the arm is good or not. Like, is the hand good? If the hand is good, then maybe it gives him abilities. If the hand is not good, then maybe it's cursing his arm. Or I feel like, because there's that snippet in the second one where it shows like something fusing to his arm, but then I thought maybe it's indifferent. Maybe it only knows keep back Ganondorf, and so it attacks Link. So maybe it's not even, because it's like, don't disturb what I'm trying to do. So I don't know.
My thought on that was always, when we see the malice attack his arm, it like, basically, Harry Potter reference. Dumbledore tries to put on the ring that curses him.
Yep.
Snape delays can't heal it, but like slows it down, delays it. And I think it's a similar situation to where the malice or whatever, like, gets in Link or curses him or whatever, and that'll be that'll also be the game's way of saying, well, this is why Link was so powerful at the end of Breath of the Wild, but doesn't have all that stuff in Breath of the Wild 2 when you start.
The reset button.
Yeah, like when Skull Kid curses Link, turns him into a Deku, and then you have to regain all your hearts and stuff. And I felt it was basically the same scenario, where the malice reverts Link back or curses him, whatever. And maybe he can somewhat control some of that power, but then when the green thing gets on his arm, it's like Snape when he tries to cure it or do his best or whatever. So it's like he has the two opposing forces on his arm, basically. One trying to kill him, the other one trying to stop it.
I just had a really random thought, probably because I'm fresh off of Skyward Sword. So we know how in the... I don't think it's actually related to this at all, but we know in the first one, during that cutscene where Zelda finally unleashes her powers, the sword talks to her, Fi. And I was like, what if there was a reference to 𝗓𝗏 again? Since they are essentially the good and evil version of each other. It'd be interesting if somehow with dehydrated Ganon, or if there's somehow, I don't know, because I know what they say. I don't know. I'm trying to think again. I just played this. The sword disappears. 𝗓𝗏 disappears, and they said Demise is now in the Master Sword. Isn't that what they said? She's like, he's being kept in the Master Sword. Something like that. I may be misinterpreting it. I don't know what the original Japanese translation would be, but...
It's a little different in Japanese.
Yeah, that's what I was just when I was like, wait a minute, what does the Japanese say?
What does it say in Canada?
And if we...
Something
we
about
use English
Timbits.
or French, I guess.
Same as Europe and Australia and New Zealand.
I thought it was going to say something about Tim Hortons.
But I think in the Japanese version, it mentions that Demise is the last fragment of his consciousness is absorbed by the sword, and then is decaying like inside. Like the last remnants of it is decaying inside the sword, which means it's already dead. But yeah, there's not really any mention of 𝗓𝗏 or what happens. My assumption is always that he's dead. That he
right, because the sword disappears.
Yeah, because it's just like, and in fairness, like before that fight, 𝗓𝗏 takes a beating from Link, and then going into the fight, it's a fight. 𝗓𝗏 probably just like took too much of a beating in those two instances and just kicked the bucket basically, and yeah, but I mean also Ganondorf has died and they brought him back, so I mean anything goes, right? So
I was just thinking like that would be interesting if, you know, because we had Fi, even though now we know she's always resonated in the sword, although even she said she felt her consciousness fading, but until that moment it came back enough to say something to Zelda.
That's true, and yeah, that's the thing too. Is Fi, she says she's like taking an eternal slumber and her consciousness is fading, and obviously that didn't happen. And yeah, she speaks to Zelda like you said, and also to Link one time after you finish the Trial of the Sword. There's also a very similar moment where Link's holding the sword and Fi's sound effect thing plays while Link is sort of just like listening. It's a really a great moment. I love it, but I love it so much. It hits me in the feels. But
I love the Breath of the Wild version of Fi's theme. It's a pretty version.
It's, I think, better than the Skyward Sword one. Because maybe it's just because like the instrumentation, like I like the better way it sounds. Yeah, so maybe that's just my bias there, but yeah, like it plays on like a clarinet or a flute or something in Skyward Sword, and I feel like after
has more in the background too.
Yeah, and it almost gets like a little too grating, and I feel like there's more sparseness of its instrumentation in Breath of the Wild. A little more emotional, I guess. So yeah. But 𝗓𝗏, you were saying about 𝗓𝗏.
Yeah, that was just like a random thought. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. And then as I was talking, I was like, wait, but the sword disappeared and then Demise's consciousness is in the... Never mind.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see Demise again. I feel like just from a Nintendo standpoint, it's kind of a one-and-done villain. But Ganondorf's always gonna, or Ganon by extension, is always gonna be like the big bad. I think. Maybe a minor villain here and there, but yeah. But yeah, I think like the malice. I've my interpretation from the trailer was sort of similar. Was like the malice sort of engulfs Link's arm, maybe gonna kill him, and it's sort of like a negative energy, and then they need to use some positive energy to stop the spread of it or cancel it out, that kind of thing. And so the arm is like fused to Link or absorbed by him. Whether it's their conscious decision or the arm choosing to do so is all. But
yeah.
I don't know. Can't wait to see. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, I checked about that cutscene in Skyward Sword. I posted a link to it in the chat. There's no mention of a previous hero in that cutscene, and only Hylia using the goddess sword. She's shown holding the sword herself.
Oh, I remember that image. She has the harp.
She has,
How does she play the harp
in one hand and the goddess sword in the other? And Hylia is right-handed, apparently. So now we know. Something I never thought about.
People were asking when Majora's Mask might be coming to Switch Online, and I tried to look.
It's this month.
Yeah.
Well,
but,
yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be the same date that the other games came on last month? Would that make sense?
Would it be?
Do they not do?
Have
the
they
same
all been
day
coming
every
out
month?
on the same day of the month?
Or
it
could be just Nintendo whenever they end the rush to fix it. Like, they could be a very last-minute company. Who knows? Seems like they are for other stuff.
Maybe on Valentine's Day.
Hori says,
because
she's a goddess, Jessie. I said, how does she use the sword and play the harp at the same time? Okay, well played, Hori.
She uses the sword like a pick.
Oh, yes.
And
Go home.
A little complicated.
It's a complicated process. Yes.
I feel like there was another Patreon question.
Probably.
Someone else said something about like Zelink's gonna be confirmed in this one, and I'm like,
Candy also has a Patreon thing. Says, that's a very good question. I would think that since the three goddesses had created Hyrule and Hylia is Zelda, she may have had her on Link, which very well could be. Or maybe she's just replying to his thing. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Ignore me.
Replying to Justin's question.
Yes.
About. Yeah, my only thing with that is that so Link and Zelda are kind of tied to this curse. That curse starts at the end of Skyward Sword.
right.
And not to say that there couldn't be a hero before. They totally could, but at the very least, it wouldn't be one tied to the Curse of Demise if there was.
Right. Okay. Final question from chat. You want to pick it out, Daniel?
Oh, yeah, I should look at the chat.
No, wait, Jorge had a question earlier. I'll take it.
All right,
you
grab that.
Thing.
You just pick. You just do all the work.
No. You while you pick one, I was going to take the one Jorge had.
Sure.
Jorge also referenced the manga at the end of Hyrule History, and I just ignore all of that.
Oh yeah, the manga does have
That's interesting stuff.
shows the Scarfy hero, the hero with the scarf.
Yeah.
Yes.
He says,
Before Hyrule Warriors was a thing.
question, if you got to design a new Sheikah Slate rune for Breath of the Wild 2, what idea or for an item, power-up, would you like to include in the game?
Selfies.
Oh, selfies. You know what? Selfies are fun though. Like I like the selfies in Breath of the Wild Waker. I always, when I play Wind Waker HD, I always try and take a selfie with Ganondorf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a fun little like thing to do. And, you know, like he'll be like behind me trying to, and Link with his big goofy smile.
All right, here's my rune.
Yes.
An underwater bubble that you can breathe in.
Ooh.
Since, not like a bubble, but like one that more in the shape of Link's body, since the Zora's tunic no longer lets you breathe underwater.
What about a bubble bobble?
Well, I don't make the rules.
Touche. Touche.
I don't have any.
You found one, Daniel? Alright, here's one.
I'm trying to think of one that isn't just like a replacement for an item.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought you were just going along with the selfie thing.
Oh, yes.
I mean, mine was a joke. I don't have any ideas.
He goes to the Sheikah store and turns in his old Sheikah slate for a new Sheikah slate.
Yeah. Yeah, gotta upgrade.
It gives you the ability to pet dogs.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Why do we need a rune for that?
How about this one?
I know, it's so sad.
From Bree. Besides the Sky Islands and the underground, what other changes do you think have been made to the land of Hyrule in Breath of the Wild 2 in order to differentiate it from the original game?
Ooh.
So
I would say like some little settlements should be popping up here and there, you know?
More
And,
new
just,
Terry
like,
Town?
cave entrance. Yeah, maybe.
And closer to the castle, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if they actually just call it New Terry Town?
New Terry Town.
Yeah.
So there's Terry Town and
then
New
there's a
Terry
Terry City and a Terry Forest.
Terrytopia?
He just has like a monopoly over
Perfect.
he buys all the land. He's
Hudson's out of control.
No one else was using it.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's fair. Little like cave entrances though. Like, there's so many spots where you could have like a dungeon entrance in the world. You know?
Yeah, like the
see
same
more
place
of
the
those.
water temple always is.
Yeah, sure. You could do
No,
that.
like the water. It's always like the island, like the bottom of the island that sticks out of the water in Lake Hylia. Like that's there in
But
Breath of
there's
the
a
Wild.
shrine there now.
Yeah, but like, what if you can enter through like underwater, like enter that way, and then it's just like another elevator.
But aside from underwater, she said.
Oh.
The question was aside from underwater, Jessie.
Okay, well, fine. I want.
Oh wait, but then she said aside from underwater, and she said and the sky.
No,
What was
underground
it?
in
Can
the
you read
sky.
the question again?
Because in the
It's underground.
yeah, she said underground.
Underground. Okay, so me saying caves is bad.
Besides the Sky Island and the underground, what other changes do you think have been made to the land of Hyrule in
Okay.
Breath of the Wild 2 in order to differentiate it from the original?
Gotcha. Okay, so she didn't say underwater, so you're good. Underwater.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I'm bad at creating stuff. I can create dances all the live long day.
I just think there'll be like natural.
More dances.
I think there'll be natural changes.
Yes.
Like they'll suddenly
Molson
be.
becomes a choreographer.
Yes. A ghost choreographer.
Okay, so like almost all the DLC shrines just popped up out of nowhere, like, and they were just like, oh well, it wasn't there before, and now it is.
It was, yeah.
I think it'll just be the same way, to where like, oh, there wasn't a thing here before, like maybe in Hebron Mountain, like some of the snow just falls away and now there's a cave that leads somewhere to do something. Maybe the goddess statues.
Mudslide happened.
Yeah, since there's no shrines to get, you canonically, Link has all the spirit orbs. He proved himself to be the champion, which is what the entire purpose of the Hylia statues are in that game. So with no use to them, maybe, like my idea that I loved was if the statue's not there, maybe it's just the pedestal there. And if Link puts the sword in the pedestal, then it'll do something funky like it did with Twilight Princess when Link stuck the sword in the thing. And then like the black and white door opens up and you can go in it, and now the Temple of Time is healed. And you go through the window. And I still claim you don't go to the Temple of Time dungeon, that the Temple of Time dungeon is actually the Temple of Light.
Ah.
But shh, don't tell anyone.
I just want to say Candy had a really good misspell from her Google Voice.
Oh no.
No. I told people to ask questions, but purposefully misspell one of the words.
Oh, she said afterwards though, she was like, Google Voice misspelled.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, my Jewish mass? I was so confused. Because I'm Catholic and I'm like, I don't. What?
I just noticed your Sheikah slate necklace.
And then I kept reading. I was like, Majora's Mask, my Jewish mask.
It's Google is sabotaging Candy. I'm so.
Unfortunately, Google doesn't know what Majora is, so it be done.
Jorge says portals. I think like we see like the gate things up in the islands. I think maybe they could do something.
Yeah. I also feel like there's a lot of there's so many spots they could hide at like temple or dungeon entrances. Like there's the 8th heroine statue, right? And then like what if something triggers and the statue moves?
You know how you get the statue to move?
No. You bomb it. You just blow it up.
No.
I don't know.
You play Saria's song for Darunia, and after he dances a little bit, he's like, "You shall pass."
There
just
we go.
play it in front of the rock, like dedication to him, and it'll just unlock it. Then you have to play that other song for the other one.
Oh, Rory says that was a response.
A giant turtle comes out at the Faron Sea and ferries you off to another island.
It has happened before.
I do actually want to like be able to see a little bit more out of bounds of the map, like be islands that are a little farther out, or there's like a mass of land on the west.
Well,
and
you know
north
what's
side,
north of Hyrule?
Well, there's the canyon, and then there's just. Oh, you're gonna say Hytopia.
I thought it was
from Triforce Heroes, aren't you?
Yeah, Hytopia, or the Drablands.
Oh no.
Canonically, that is north of Hyrule.
Well, we can go there, and it's just destroyed. They were like, yeah, this is...
Calamity hit us a little bit harder. We didn't have a hero.
Yeah, some Guardians actually went north and destroyed all of the places you go to in Triforce Heroes, Hytopia, and
well, they did
Link
one good thing.
They did one good thing. Because Link stayed in Hyrule, no one defended Hytopia. Yeah.
What are we doing again?
Yeah, but I don't know now.
I'm starting to lose my mind because it's almost midnight.
Daniel, Geek, one of you find the last question in chat.
Geek, you pick.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. I can find something. Hold on.
No pressure, but...
He sounded so, like, it was such despair.
My brain is still going Jewish mass.
Where did you get your Sheikah slate necklace?
What?
Your Sheikah slate necklace. What about
it?
Where'd you get that?
Christmas.
It looks
My
cool.
mom gave it to me. And she's like, why don't you wear the necklaces I give you? I was like, because I always wear this one and they get tangled. But I wear it today. Joseph asked, do you think there's a capacity for more people to be in the sequel? Perhaps visitors from far-off lands or characters from an alternate realm? That would be interesting.
I think there's a high possibility there's going to be a lot of people that are just like, yeah, I was just living out in the caves.
I was hiding.
Yeah, it's like, where was Tingle? Oh, he was just floating really high in the air. You couldn't see him.
had his balloon.
He was
Yeah.
there the whole time. You just couldn't see
Or
him.
like that. I mean, there's.
He was the
hiding
first
thing would
choice
be
to
legit.
be.
Oh.
He was
Well,
the
yeah,
first
they could
choice
be
to
the ones in the caves,
champion.
and they're being fleshed out because of the crap going on underneath. It was like, little did you know, it was actually more unsafe underground.
Yeah, it's like there's this purple.
All this
red
stuff was
goo
happening,
stuff.
so we went to hide in these caves.
And it got worse.
It got worse.
That's what the Koroks were
Yeah.
doing. They were just hiding.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Actually, though,
Uh-huh.
think about like if there was like a group of people that lived like and they like migrated outside of Hyrule 100 years ago.
You mean the Zuni?
And then like they're now coming back. The what?
The Zuni.
Zunis? The Zuni.
Well, we can't say the Z word, so I'm just saying Zunis.
Oh, that took me longer than it should have.
It's
Which
okay.
also everyone
It's not
keeps
like you've
asking,
ever.
when will Majora's Mask come out? We don't know. This
I
month.
don't know.
We
don't know the
Whenever
answer to that.
Nintendo-
didn't we say
whenever
Jorge
Nintendo
was
decides.
Miyamoto's best friend?
Isn't he?
Or no, it was Dragon Child. Go ask them. That's Miyamoto's best friend.
Yes.
Daniel used to be good friends with him, but then he invited him out for sushi. And then once Daniel showed up, Miyamoto was like, "Oh, this is awkward."
I offended him. He said I was holding the chopsticks the Chinese way, not the Japanese. Couldn't be friends.
Is that a thing?
And that's actually jokes aside, that's something my mother-in-law told me. And she's Japanese, so that's why. But
Oh, fair enough.
yeah, so but she's like, holding your chopsticks wrong. I'm like, oh no. No,
At
but
least
it's
you were
easier.
trying. I'm like, give me a fork. I'm
Right.
gonna starve if I try to use chopsticks.
Yeah, I've never
or you
been
could
able to
blame
use
my wife.
chopsticks
for
everything.
She taught me how to use sticks. So, because I deliberately didn't want to be the only person at like family dinners not using. So
Yeah,
when we were
that's fair.
drinking, we would like go out to like noodle restaurants and stuff, and then I would just try to teach myself to use chopsticks, so to not embarrass myself.
Have you ever
That's
ate
fair.
poutine with chopsticks?
No. No. And sometimes when the bits get too small, I still have to revert back to other cutlery so that I can get the little bits, because they're too small to grip with chopsticks. I'm not that good. I get by, though. I get by.
I can't.
But yes, so
One day,
Miyamoto
maybe.
just said, you hold your chopsticks wrong.
Oh, I thought it
can't-
was a situation
Can't be
where
friends.
you showed up and he was like, "Oh, this is awkward. I thought you were the other Daniel."
The other Daniel. Which one? There's so many. There's so many Daniels.
It's actually you
thought it was
you say
Daniel
your last
Day-Lewis
name
this
was
whole time.
Bergerson, but I was looking for the actual Daniel Bergerson.
Or the actual Daniel Ferguson, who the
Never heard of
guy that was on America's Got
I
Talent.
was just thinking that the voice actor guy,
Yeah.
who one of my best friends, her sister, went to college with him. Like they were in the same friend group.
Oh, really?
I
Wow.
was like, dude, that's cool.
That is cool. That is cool. He's got a good name. he's making a name for himself, isn't he? Making a name for all of us.
Yeah,
All of
but
us
does
I could get
does
some.
he have a name that involves meat but happens to be a vegetarian?
I could get some
No.
some extra views by just putting up
Same.
interview with Daniel Ferguson.
Well,
There you go. You wouldn't be lying, technically.
No, it would not be
It's on
clickbait.
my ID. It's,
I didn't know we were
It's
putting
funny.
your last name out there, but sure.
I don't hide it. It's not a secret, but it actually reminds me of one time.
secret
I
to
can't remember what.
everyone.
I love the idea of
Someone
everyone
was like-
believing that you were a vegetarian and your last name was actually
No,
Berger.
that part's true. Do you remember there was like a podcast we were doing like a long time ago? I don't remember how long it was, but
Was it a non-podcast
Then-
podcast?
someone asked, they're like, "Why do people keep calling you Daniel?" I'm like, Well, you see,
It's a small name.
my real name isn't Capped Burgerstein.
I don't know if you figured that far out.
don't know if you knew this.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me. I don't know why, but I was watching, I guess because and it was when I was making my last video, that's what it was, and I was rewatching people's reactions to the final Breath of the Wild trailer, but I looked up when y'all streamed at E3, and y'all were reacting to the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, and right at the end, right before y'all went off, and because I had already finished streaming myself, Jessie goes, "Someone look at how Elia's doing." And I was just, I'm sitting there and I just went, "Who's Elia? Like, who is he talking about?" And he I'm just sitting there for such a long time, and I'm like, "Oh, it's me!"
Yeah, so some people are going to be like, "Why did you?"
Way back when I used to go by Elia.
Why did you
and
guys
that was
kick
actually
out
after I
Elia?
stopped going by Elia too.
Oh,
Right.
it's like,
My
why
name
did-
is not Elia. Rose is a part of my. No, actually, no, it's not. It's part of my spiritual name, not my actual legal name. But Elia is not a part of my name. Because people are like, "I feel so rude calling you geek." I'm like, it's in the title of my channel. It's really fine.
Yeah, we just make
I
fun
am
of you
okay
every
with
time
it.
you're on the podcast. Like, you listen here, you geek.
It was just so funny. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, "Who's he talking about?" Like, I'm seriously trying to rack my brain, going, "Who's he talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, me."
Oh, that's me. That's
Whoops.
so funny.
Did we have a
Which
last
then
question?
prompted me. I was like, "What was my reaction?" I was like, "Oh, just literal tears."
Yeah, I remember us phoning you up, and like you came on screen, and it was just
I'm just
the
like-
remnants of tears.
And everyone's like, there were a few comments that were like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like,
Why aren't
"I'm
you
sorry,
crying?
what?" I didn't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
Good time, honestly.
I love how that clip
Good.
starts with me going, "I don't even play Smash," because it's coming off of the Banjo-Kazooie thing and me crying over
Right.
having Banjo-Kazooie even though I don't play Smash. So I'm like, "I don't even play Smash," and then I'm just like, I remember thinking too, "What is this, Metroid?" And then I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh my goodness. That E3 presentation was like a banger if you think about it. Like they had so much stuff to show, and then they had two One More Thing moments with Banjo and then the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. And it's just like they ended it on Banjo and we were all so psyched. We're like, "Yes, it can't get better than this."
Right? And they're just like, "Sequel!" And we're
Yeah.
like, "Excuse me, what?" I just remember both, because I saw like the live chat was on the screen for y'all's, and it was on for mine too, and it was just all these comments about Nintendo 1, Nintendo 1, Nintendo 1. Like, Nintendo 1 E3, no one can defeat them, I'm sorry.
It took
They
much
don't
longer
even need
to
E3.
play. Yeah, it took much longer to play any Nintendo game than it did any of the other games.
Oh yeah, that's true. The lineups for the Nintendo games are ridiculous.
Maybe Borderlands.
I think the Borderlands. Oh yeah, right.
But they make you watch a
Borderlands one
movie
was,
before
like,
you play, so it's weird.
They do. That was long, but I remember like it was after you had gone off to the airport and we went back inside.
And you saw
and
that
went to
giant
wait in
banana?
Luigi's Mansion. We did see the giant. No. I'm trying to remember the order of events. The giant banana was after you left. Oh yeah, it must have been because you would have been there.
Yeah, I would have been in that picture, Daniel. Come on.
You
It
would
was a
have been.
banana.
But
It was a 20-foot banana.
it was a good banana.
Or I'm sorry,
we went to
it
wait
was
in
a
line for
7-meter
Luigi's
banana.
Mansion, and I think that like took up the rest of the day. It was like that Luigi's Mansion lineup. It was so long.
It was a haunted
was,
house with
It was
holograms.
2019.
I can't believe it was that long ago now.
Yeah,
That's weird.
I'll get to
Yeah.
see Daniel in some months. I don't numbers. 2 months.
2 months. February, March, April.
I
You
was so
may
confused
see.
for a second. I was like, what?
What? It's a Game Over Takeover Canada edition.
Oof.
Should be fun.
Yeah, I was promised poutine. Vancouver poutine and Calgary poutine. And I will let you guys know which is best.
Blow your mind.
Heavens.
I gotta. No, I already know where I'm taking you. I was like thinking about it when you were talking about coming to Vancouver, and I was like making a mental list of like, there's all the places I could take Jessie, because like I don't get like friends from out of town here very often. So like if you want to go like to like sightsee, everybody knows. They're like, I don't need to go downtown with you. What are we gonna go downtown for? Whatever. You know? But yeah, but it's good for fresh eyes. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be good. 2 months.
Did we ever get a question?
I asked it.
Didn't we?
Didn't I? I asked something.
Oh. Well, that's the podcast, everyone.
I've just been in a nostalgia trip recently, just like, oh, these old things.
Thank you all for tuning in to whatever this is. Daniel, what do you have to say? Okay,
like
stop.
Bananas.
Stop. Your cartoon face is the same color as your skin, almost. And I was like,
this whole thing?
yeah, I did not notice it this whole time.
There's a hole in my
Yes, I was like, why? Daniel, your chest's been showing this whole time?
Oh.
I have a banana. I have a few, actually. See, here's another one.
Oh, now everyone's talking about your name in chat.
It's a tiny one.
What do you think about this one?
There's a Daniel in chat saying his real name's Burger Man.
Yeah, it's the inverse.
Oh, banana.
All right, so that's
banana.
It's very heartwarming words there, Daniel.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Geek, moving on to you.
Wait, he didn't actually advertise himself.
No, he
actually do it.
talked about bananas.
That's all we need.
No,
bananas.
okay, so Daniel. Hi.
Smallest one.
Back to you, Geek. He did it again.
A banana for ants or ants?
What is this? A banana for ants? Yes. Yes, it is. Anyways. Jessie,
Okay.
what were you gonna actually ask me?
I wasn't asking you anything. I was demanding you let all the beautiful people in the chat to know a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'll let them. So, my name is Daniel. I was born in the late 1993. And...
So that's how old you are. Okay.
Okay, so...
Someone asked me how old you are the other day, and I was like, I don't know, 14?
14? Oh, no. But no, I am Daniel. You can follow all my socials at 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 wait, no, that's a burger. Actually, that's my dad. And I stream 2 to sometimes 3 times a week. Definitely Wednesdays. Every Wednesday is Breath of the Wild Wednesday. There's also Saturday night streams are usually other games that aren't Zelda. Lately we've been doing Metroid. And I just started streaming on Mondays. They're Poke Mondays. Pokemon days. We're streaming Pokemon on Mondays. So that's... I also make videos about Zelda games, sometimes, specifically about dungeons in Zelda games, but also sometimes other things. So if you like dungeons in Zelda games or videos about Zelda dungeons and things like that, go check my channel out. That's who I am. And also we got a super chat from Candy, who says, "Thanks you guys, love you guys. Have a raising hands banana heart hug."
I'm pretty sure that's a moon, not a banana.
Oh,
Crescent moon.
it is a moon. Why did my brain go right to banana?
Daniel has bananas in his blood, so
I do. I even am wearing banana socks right now. So Yes. Thank you for the super chat, though, Candy. Have a great night.
Yeah, someone asked about Kahoot. We sadly will not be having Kahoot. I just checked, and I did not make one for this week, so I apologize.
Yeah, I didn't need another blow to my self-esteem.
Yeah,
Oh.
No, when Joe and
I'll
did
make one, and then I won't win.
when Joe and I did
Somehow
the
you
Smash
still
Bros
will.
thing, I asked Joe how it felt to lose to Daniel on questions about Daruk.
Oh.
And then he beat me with a fart, so it kind of evens out. Because in Smash Bros, Wario can fart. So that's how he beat me when we were playing Smash Bros.
Wow. That's just
It was
a whole other level.
Fun stream. I was watching some of that, and it's nice to just hear Joe talk casually. Just like stuff he's interested in.
Yeah.
Like in not such like a professional interview sort of setting. Like it was very casual. It was candid. It was a very fun.
He's probably the one that I talk to casually the most. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you must know all this Breath of the Wild 2 stuff." I'm like, "No, we mostly just talk about wrestling."
NDAs are a thing, also.
Well, yeah, but like
that's true.
If Daruk
we always talk about wrestling, so that's the thing. It's like if you want to know his opinion on, I don't know, a suplex, maybe I could get that. Jessie's Smash streams are great because it's just me losing. Daniel beat me 10-0.
I think we only played 7 rounds, didn't we? I'm not sure now.
I don't know.
I don't think we went for the full 10.
Joe beat me 6-4.
That's pretty good.
You would beat me in Smash. I also don't have Smash. But, you know.
Maybe that would be why. So, Daniel.
So, Jessie. Here, would you like a banana?
Geek. Would you like to let people know where they could find some more of your videos and what they could expect and all that goodness?
Oh, you can expect the unexpected, which is that I am very inconsistent with my videos. Because I do have a full-time job as a dance teacher, and we just started recital. Recital dances, and my brain is...
Do you ever do the dance from Majora's Mask?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're not doing that one. No. I used to know it, though. No. I am the Geek Apprentice. I am the Geek Apprentice everywhere. I think all I do on Twitter is just kind of post my stuff. But that one's like at TGA_geekdom because someone took it. Rude. There's not enough room for but even Geek Apprentice was taken. I was like, well, that's rude. It's an inactive account too. I was upset. But I also don't use it, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I make videos. I am thus far consistent at streaming on Fridays at about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when I'll start the game. I try to start it at 7:45. I'm usually like eating dinner because I get off work at 7. So yeah, I make videos, Zelda related. I just made a massive nostalgia trip about how much I love 3D Zelda games. It's 30 minutes long. I sometimes do Animal Crossing, Hunger Games month, other things. I actually think I have a video. I'll put it up tomorrow. That's also kind of just a nostalgia trip. I haven't been very creative lately. All my creative juices are into creating dances for children and teenagers. So yeah, I do things, but I'm starting Twilight Princess HD tomorrow, which I have never finished. I don't think I've gotten past maybe the first few dungeons. So this is exciting, which also means my dungeon music videos were a lie. Because I was like, oh, I won't do the thing until I've actually done the dungeon. And I was like, I've never actually finished Twilight Princess. But that's the point. So, yeah. Anyway, yes, that's me. I'm the Geek Apprentice. You can call me Geek. I don't go by Illy Rose anymore, and I haven't for years. Years? Yeah, it's been literal years. That's insane. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah. And that video that you mentioned, that total nostalgia trip, just everybody go watch it right after you're done watching this. Or at your nearest, at least drop it in a watch later list just to give it a go. It's so good. It's so good. It tickled my emotions in a. That sounds weird, but it made me. It was good. But yeah, I do recommend. I thought it was a wonderfully well made video. So
Thank you.
that's all. Just putting that out there.
Daniel,
Watch it.
is there anything?
Also, 90% of the footage is Daniel's anyway.
Is there anything you would like to say, Daniel?
Anything I'd like to say?
Bananas.
This is a banana. Am I allowed?
Banana.
Banana. We haven't done that in a while. Yeah.
Pointing.
Yeah, no, I think I've said it all. I've said
I don't think you said anything. You kept bringing bananas in.
What, these little things?
You didn't say anything.
No,
You're like, I said it all. So you didn't say
I plugged my socials and stuff. You know.
Yeah.
We make
Was
dungeon
I supposed
videos.
to say when I was born too?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think I was.
Summer 95. No, I am not 16.
Okay, because I was doing the math in my head, and I was like, if Daniel's 14.
No.
Ow, my
No,
elbow.
I had a parent the other day ask if I was a first-year teacher. And I was like,
parent?
Oh
Oh,
my
no,
gosh.
ma'am, I've been doing this for 10 years. And she goes, what? I was like, oh, ma'am, I'm 26. She's like,
Did you say?
oh, honey, you don't look it.
Oh.
And I was like, I know.
I thought you said you had a parrot ask you.
A parrot.
Oh, parrot.
Yeah. Birds
One of my
just flew
students brought a
in.
parrot.
Yes.
They do bring toys a lot. A lot. I'm like,
I
okay,
had
your
some-
block can be an audience member. Put it in front of the mirror. Stop messing with
I had someone on one of my streams. They were we were just, you know, we on my streams we were just like talking about life a lot, just whatever stuff. And I had
Yeah.
mentioned my son at one point, and then one of the people in the chat was like, "Do you mean to imply that you have a child, or are you joking?" And I'm like, "Not implying anything. It's not a secret. I'm a dad."
This is a
They're like-
fact.
They were like, "I thought you were 18," and I'm like,
See,
"No, I am not."
he
But I
is,
will
he's
take
the
the
true
compliment.
burger son.
The true burger son. We call him Little
That's
Slider. Because he's... No, I just... We don't really call him that.
Were you
He's
born?
gonna grow up,
but
make a
we
YouTube
should.
channel, and it'll be kept Slider.
Were you born at Burger King or Wendy's, Daniel?
Excuse me. Don't bring my parents into this.
Wendy and Burger King.
Okay.
Oh, no.
You have any streams coming up?
Yeah, I'm streaming some Metroid on Saturday night. Streaming some Pokemon on Monday.
Okay.
Streaming some Zelda on Wednesday. And then the next Saturday night, I'll continue streaming Metroid. And then the next Monday, I'll stream Pokemon. You can probably see where I'm going with this. And then the next Wednesday, I'll be streaming more Zelda. And then guess what will happen the next Saturday? you can probably guess.
So
Anyway, it's just the same thing every week.
Jorge
It's just-
says
I have
the
a
game.
schedule.
I wish I had one of those. Says the Gamecast is at its best today, and then his next comment is Tubes can keep them in order with a single look. That's usually like it'll be like a 3-hour podcast, and Daniel and I will be on like the second topic.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever
Yeah, we're bad.
whenever
We're
Tubes
bad.
comes, she's just like, okay, guys, what's next?
Mhm.
You got an early schedule, so I don't blame her. I don't wake up
I-
early on Fridays.
yeah.
That's why I make Thursdays work.
I feel like the more of us there are at any given time, the more we are. You know, like then the fewer of us there
Yeah.
are. Just the more.
Because you have
off
to
track
fill
we-
up the time, so then we just end up getting off
Mhm.
track,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
Which is funny because she's the youngest one. I say that by a literal month. From
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Only by a month.
So
Although I'm pretty sure everyone thinks she's older than me. And I'm like,
I mean, if I didn't already
She is
know,
mature,
like I
though.
wouldn't think so. You know. Yeah.
yeah. But she is mature. So that's why.
okay, Daniel,
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Okay.
You can't
let's
tell
see.
anyone.
I have an answer.
It's gotta be a
All right.
secret.
Okay.
So I did the Smash stream with you. I had to cancel the one with Sean, and I did the one with Joe. When the day comes that I have the stream with Sean, I need you to pretend to be me, so I don't lose like every single.
I'll still lose,
but not as much.
Didn't Sean literally win every single match?
I think so.
Joe was telling me a story when they went to a convention and they were having a Smash Bros thing, like close to it, and he was just like, "Hey Joe, what if we went to play Smash?"
Yeah, I feel like when you get to a certain skill level, like as good, like Sean is so good that it doesn't matter how good anyone else is, or like what the skill gap between, say, like me or Jessie, or Jessie and someone else, or me and someone else, like no matter what the skill gaps between them, it would be irrelevant because Sean would just destroy us all the same. Like, you know, like there would still just be no chance for any of us. There will be no survivors. So.
Oh, they're saying Natsu is the best. Maybe I'll get
Natsu's
Natsu to
good.
pretend to be me.
Because when we did our Smash stream together, I continued after your stream ended and streamed with viewers playing, and Natsu plays a mean game. Natsu's very Smash champ.
I came close to winning once. That's the best I could have done. Okay, everyone said everything? No more bananas?
Why not? I've got 5 bananas here. I actually bought some actual bananas from the store today, not these little 𝗵𝗃 ones that I have here. So
you call that a banana?
Bananas in my pantry, I'm waiting for them to ripen. They were like greenish yellow when I bought them, and I'm like, oh, I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you all for tuning in
the sweet spot.
to the Banana Daniel podcast.
Yes.
Tune in next week for episode 2 of the Banana Daniel podcast.
Well, we'll do Friends with Friends will make a comeback next.
One day. For those who don't know, Daniel and I would get distracted talking about TV shows a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. I remember. This was back when I watched.
Yeah, so we just called it Friends with Friends.
Friends with Friends?
Because Friends was a TV show. And we were friends, so it was Friends.
And we were friends talking about Friends, the TV show.
Do you get it yet?
I remember this.
It's deep.
it's very, very, very deep.
It's very deep.
So we are the Hylian Gamescast. We plan to have these every week, but live. And tune in next month, probably.
Or don't. It's your life.
Yeah. Now, so every Thursday, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Yeah, we gather here and try to talk about games. There's usually some bananas involved, some burgers. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah, so have a wonderful night, everyone. Go subscribe, watch some of Geek's videos. Go unsubscribe and just like break your phone after with Daniel's videos.
Oh.
That's rude.
Okay, maybe don't break your phone.
Yeah, don't break your phone.
But the unsubscribe.
You need that.
No, don't unsubscribe to Daniel and then no, just if you haven't already, go watch his stuff. As you've seen, he clearly one day.
Is that what you're gonna say?
No, I was gonna say clearly something's wrong with him, but we still.
That's true.
No,
that's true.
No,
something wrong with us all. Let's be real.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
He has a lot of wonderful Zelda videos on his channel, as well as Metroid, some other games. Mostly Zelda, though. He does every Friday. Not live. He has new Zelda videos, going through literally every single Zelda dungeon. And on Geek's channel, there's Zelda and Harry Potter and Zelda and Harry Potter.
I haven't done a Harry Potter video in years.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't remember the last time you did.
We had a
It's like
reference
Zelda,
today.
Animal Crossing,
Back
Hunger
when-
Games right now.
Yeah, there's if you're into live streams, you can watch them every week. I typically don't, except the special occasions with Smash Bros, and that was just to do giveaway, which was, yeah. Do you want to know a secret? Even if I would have won those, I still would have been the one giving the $20 to Daniel and all the other people.
I thought I earned that through trial by combat.
No, like I even, whenever I had to cancel on Sean, I even sent him a thing for a $20 thing. So
That's nice of you.
That's
nice. Because you knew already you were gonna lose, Sean.
Yeah, I was just like,
So you had it ready in advance.
Yeah. No. So I'm horrible at buys, but thank you all. I imagine most of us are going to go to bed, except the Canadian.
That's me. You're right. I'm gonna have it's only 9 p.m. for me, so
Yeah, exactly.
time zones. I'm gonna go have a snack, maybe watch some TV, maybe play some Pokemon. You know, we'll see.
All right. Good night.